11 Houston, you're good in 1 minute. Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are go for TLI, over. Apollo 11, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Mr. Dimitri Luskotov. Welcome. Today's second day of the Global Sat Show, and this is the 5th time we have been coming to discuss ideas, technologies, and the industry in this spectacular event. And the space professionals has been discussing the really interesting topic in this event. So now we are hosting another space professional. He has been working for a long time for the space industries, Mr. Luskatov, and he is the CEO of one of the biggest Russian space companies, and he has been directing this company for years. And first of all, I would like to say welcome to Mr. Loskutov.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shen. It's a great pleasure to speak at this distinguished event. I hope you had a great time yesterday, the first day of the conference, a very busy one, and a pleasure to listen and to watch a couple of interventions from the speakers. So we were really looking forward to participating in this event live, but to come to Turkey, but well, it's live, so we had to cope with it. I would like to, if you allow me, to concentrate on some issues that are beyond day-to-day activities of the space industry, not regular launches and satellites, and but to concentrate on some strategic things.
Mr. Luskatov, you have already started the conversation. It's very good in order to save time, and I have checked out your company's the website, and yeah, your company profile is really huge. I mean, your range is very big, so that's why let's start with give some information about your companies and its capabilities and your projects.
Yes, well, I have prepared several slides for the company. I will maybe get back to them later. But to give you a general overview, yes, maybe okay. If you want, we can start with the slides devoted to the company, GlavCosmos, as an introduction. If I could ask you to switch to slide number 9, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, 7 or 9, please. Down 7 slides. 7. Next. Next one. Next. Here we go. So here you can see the brief overview of some figures. GlavCosmos was established in 1985 in the USSR under the General Machine Building, the Ministry for the General Machine Building. And back then, 35 years ago, we were supposed to take forward international cooperation. You know, the Soviet space industry was pretty much a thing in itself, although we had already cooperation with the United States and other spacefaring nations. But the general cooperation started in the late 80s with the Intercosmos program, when Glovcosmos, under our contracts, in fact, the first commercial space tourists, so to speak, went into space. The first one was a Japanese person, a journalist, and then came all the well-known persons. So you see we have some pretty good economic results over the last years. Next slide, please. Here is our portfolio, so the range of services that we provide today. We are entitled by Roscosmos. We're 100% subsidiary of Roscosmos State Corporation. So we're like its foreign economic arm, providing all range of services, starting from complex international projects and launch services, and last but not least, consulting, you know, and training and some analysis. Next, please. I will just very briefly stop on some of these areas. We are the main contractor for our partners from Arianespace for the launches from GSC, from Guyana Space Center. I really hoped to congratulate Ariane today with the return to flight of the Vega rocket, but unfortunately, once again, for the meteorological reasons, it was postponed. But we are looking forward to resuming of its flights. But there is a Soyuz launch site in Guyana Space Center, and we're the main points of contact for our foreign partners to get in touch with our industry: Lavashkin, Snimash, Tsenki, and Progress factories. Next, please. This is just a slide from our future beautiful presentation. I will share it with you sometime later, maybe not today. We are also returning to commercial flights to the ISS. You know that there were several commercial space tourists, commercial space flight participants over the last years, but there was a gap, there was a pause from 2001. So today we're going back to. We see that many spacecrafts are now preparing to enter into service. Well, not that many, but in fact there were a lot of news lately this year, especially. So there are some more space on the Russian Soyuz, which is flight proven and very secure. And you can see that we provide different options for the commercial space flights. Next, please. Next slide, please. This is just what we mean by turnkey or package solutions, starting from project engineering, launching a satellite into space, personnel, and providing ground stations for receiving of signal and providing it to the end user. Next, please. These are just some examples which might be of interest to you as a person from the space industry, from the satellite industry. Yes. These are a couple of platforms, Russian platforms produced by different industries. These are the Earth observation platforms. Next, please. These two are more with a better resolution by another manufacturer, and we can also discuss it later if you wish. Next, please. These are telecom set platforms. These are flight-proven platforms. In fact, a couple of them were launched into space just late July this year with a rather good payload. Next, please. Glovcosmos also serves as an official distributor of Earth observation data from our constellation. These are just some examples of the Russian Earth observation satellites that we can get images from. Next, please. And finally, we just late last year, we have launched the unified product and component portal. It's like a sort of a space wiki of the Russian space industry, but you can also look into some technical characteristics of these components, spacecraft components, engines, ground stations, and so on. And you can order something through us, or at least receive a professional consultation on this or that item to be procured. And the link is at the bottom. So that is very briefly, next please, about our company. We are eager to take forward cooperation with different partners, including with Turkey. By the way, yesterday was a very good presentation of the chief of the Turkish Space Agency. I just enjoyed watching it. So thank you very much, Mr. Shen, for this opportunity to speak to our company. And I'm ready to integrate more into the Russian space industry.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Dmitry. I mean, it's really interesting, the presentation, and as far as I see, your company profile versatile, and starting from the launchers goes to the engineering solutions and even manufacturing of the satellite site. And now, in generally, we are talking in the global South show about the future of our industry, I mean, space industry. I mean, people are talking about changing dynamics of the market, changing technology improvements, and I would like to ask my question the parallel to this kind of topic. I mean, I'm in the future. So depending on your opinion, what is the number one priority of your company or the Russian space industry in changing space world?
Well, that's a great question. I would like to answer that the number one priority of my company is to promote private space business. But we are once again 100% subsidiary of Roscosmos, and our main task is to help the Russian space industry, which is the state industry, to go into foreign markets and to compete there. And that is why we analyze the market. We probably one of the main portfolios of our company is launch services. We market Soyuz launch vehicles family through our daughter company, GK Launch Services. We also are in very close contact with ILS, International Launch Services, which you know very well. I believe Proton launch vehicles delivered several Turkish satellites into orbit successfully. So launch vehicles is one big share of our business. Another one which we foresee could be very attractive is space tourism. Launching people to the ISS, we understand we need to invest more effort into this to make the price competitive, because before the new spacecraft appeared, Soyuz was probably the only one that could fly people to the ISS. So we need to expand into this market and to make it more attractive, more attractive in terms of price, if you will, because in terms of safety, we don't have any problems so far. Another one is satellite business, satellite constellations. You know, there are certain initiatives starting from OneWeb, which I very much hope will get back into its business, and the low Earth satellite constellations for the provision of internet services is a very, very attractive business. And it's not something new for you that the most of the income comes not from the launch services, but from the satellite business, from the data that they're providing to people. Yes, I think we have some communication issues, either from my side or from our moderator. Mr. Shen, please nod if you hear me. Okay.
Apollo 11 Houston, you're good in 1 minute. Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are go for TLI, over. Apollo 11, thank you. 11 Houston, you're good in 1 minute. Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are go for TLI, over. Apollo 11, thank you. Apollo 11 Houston, you're good in 1 minute. Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are go for TLI, over. Apollo 11, thank you. Apollo 11 Houston, you're good in 1 minute. Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are go for TLI, over. Apollo 11, thank you.
So, Mr. Dimitri, sorry for technical problems. You know, the Murphy's.
I just started to talk about broadband internet and it went off.
No, the terrestrial guy needs the satellite support, as far as I understand. Their capacity is not covering enough all of the requirements. Okay, so let's start with where you stay.
Well, I'm not sure where you were cut off, but I will very quickly repeat that the bulk of our business is launch services, and we're marketing Soyuz through our daughter company, GK Launch Services, and we are in very close contact with the International Launch Services company, which is marketing Proton and Angara in future. So apart from that, we are also acting as a contractual coordinator for the OneWeb program, and also from the Guyana Space Center launches as well. And you might know that we also are dealing with India very closely on the Gaganyaan manned flight program presently. So these are the main areas of our interest today. But as you rightfully mentioned, the interest from GEO is moving towards low Earth constellations. So that is why broadband internet provided from LEO is a very interesting thing. But we have, all of us have also to think about space debris, all these kind of things, which is another challenge for satellite operators, which have to act responsibly.
Okay, I mean, as far as I see, the governmental effort is being replaced by the private effort for the space exploration, as far as I see. So when we look at the SpaceX, and you are already mentioned that you want to private space industry means to open the opportunities for the many companies, especially in order to provide a really good opportunities, really good resources for the human being. I mean, this is really interesting for us. And let me ask the second question, which is very much related with the first one. I mean, we have been seeing that there's a really huge effort for the Mars explorations, and people, I mean, governments spending much money to how to get to Mars, how to explore the Mars, what kind of conditions there is in the Mars in order to even produce some vehicles to explore in the Mars. So, if I ask the question, what are the next futuristic plans of the Glove Cosmos for space and Mars?
Well, if you ask me personally, I think I would love to be one of the persons who would go to Mars sometime. But Glove Cosmos, as for Glove Cosmos, we don't have any policy plans for conquering Mars or for sending some spacecraft to Mars. But I think that the Moon is a stepping stone for Mars. In fact, we see that most of the efforts in the coming years are concentrated on the. I mean, most of the effort in terms of more or less viable programs for lunar exploration. But yes, this year we had seen just 3 rovers went to Mars from the United States, from the UAE, so from China. But the Russian and European rover also was supposed to go, as far as you probably know. But unfortunately, due to some issues related to COVID, it had to be slipped to another launch window, which is, I think, August, September 2022 something. So this is the plan for Mars, for the Russian space industry, and we're preparing for it. But if you ask me about the Moon, I could probably elaborate more about this.
Okay, let's ask about the Moon.
And if you ask me about the Moon, I ask the operator to show one of the slides of my presentation, which I really tried to compose rather thoroughly. If we can show the presentation and slide number 5, I think. Next, yes, this one, the Moon exploration. So as you may see, we consider it necessary to launch like every year or two something to the Moon, because it really makes sense if you want to get to the goal of getting people to the Moon by 2030. In 2021, if you go from the bottom up, you see we were planning to send the first interplanetary lander, Lunar Globe, and that would be the first one in the history of modern Russia. In fact, you can see the Oriole next generation spacecraft. This is for deep space, and this probably could go to Mars sometime, but not this one iteration of this spacecraft. This one is designed to go to the Moon. If you ask me, I could tell you a couple of interesting facts about its technical capabilities later. So we will have a couple of more orbiters and landing lander in 2024, 2025. Then 2027, there will be a heavy lunar lander to the moon, which should take the examples of the samples of the soil and deliver them to Earth. So in the end, for this launch minimum to get to the moon, our humans, or the Russian cosmonauts, by 2030, we need 4 basic elements. Okay, we need to have to design and to produce the crewed spacecraft Oriole. We need to design and to produce the heavy launch vehicle to launch it to the moon with a spacecraft. We need to construct and develop the land infrastructure. And the 4th, we need to have the descent module and the lunar takeoff and landing module. Okay, you see it's in 2030 also. So we need this element. There is a 5th element also, which is probably one of the most important. It is finance or money or political will. And you know that money and political will are going hand by hand if you talk about the public funds, the federal budget. So this story is, I guess, is yet to be told, but generally what you see here is the general approach.
No, okay. Okay, so you say that if you have enough money, then it is much more easier for you to get that achievements. So I mean, in fact, we were discussing yesterday that the bankrupts is one of the danger in front of some of the companies, especially we have witnessed that OneWeb has bankrupt, and also SpaceX CEO when we were in United States mentioned that somebody has asked that what is the general the first purpose, and he answered that his first purpose is not to bankrupt. So the money is an issue in the industry. So the market is changing. Sometimes the broadcast market is shrinking. So these fundamental changes support or increase the competition in the space industry. So my question is related with that. What is the main strategy of the Russian space industry to compete with the world on space, or your company's strategy to compete with in a highly aggressively space industry? What is your main strategy?
Well, you know, Mr. Shen, as somebody put it, competition is useful up to a certain extent. And after that extent, you have no other choice but to cooperate. So the space domain was generally viewed, starting from the late 50s, as the area of competition between the 2 superpowers, the Soviet Union and the United States of America. And that really helped us all to introduce better technologies in terms of this competition. For the Soviet Union to launch the first artificial satellite and to launch the first man and the first woman into the orbit, and so on. The Americans were the first to land on the moon. After that, the Soviets decided not to go there because the competition ended at that point in terms of moon. And it's interesting that despite the fact that several decades ago the humanity landed on the moon, in fact we are very far from our flights into deep space. And I think today the time has come to unite our effort in a way, because no country on its own can afford itself. Even the United States, with its huge space budget, which is like 10 or 15 times more than the Russian Roscosmos budget, cannot afford it, or they just don't consider it wise to do the space exploration on their own. You see that Artemis program, which is widely debated today. Personally, I see it as a more like American-led initiative, and the conditions of joining this initiative are yet to be discussed. That's why I believe the Russian Roscosmos leadership decided to talk to the Chinese to see what are their plans, and to see if we could go into full-fledged international cooperation, to return back to the full-fledged international cooperation in this regard. So I believe we have to cooperate if we're talking about the deep space. And going back to the private space enterprises, once again, we don't have to be afraid of competition. We don't have to. We may lose tactically if we are afraid of it, but in the end, all of us, the end user, gets better, cheaper, and more effective service. I believe we have to move in Russia as well to this point. I'm speaking as the head of the company, not as a representative of the Roscosmos or the government, giving me some freedom to tell that.
Okay. So you say that if we have competition, it can be used in a positive way to make our effort to increase our effort to access the new technology, to decrease maybe sometime cost. It's a good reason to have competitions, but in some level, and as far as I see, the conditions in today's world sometimes force us to competition with collaboration. So
yes.
Competition, there's a new word I have heard before, that competitiveship. Yeah, I mean the competition and the friendship or collaboration. So we have to find a way to decrease the cost. We have to find a way to increase the technology to get the more resources from space, and we have to find a way to use space in peaceful way and serve to human being. So let's change the topic a little bit, and I have checked the website, and it's really interesting. And one of the website page is talking about one of your portal, Glasgow's Unified Product and Component Portal. It is a very interesting one, and it's a kind of it seems like that, at least I feel like that, it's a kind of e-based order portal like Alibaba. So could you could you provide some extra information about your Glasgow Unified Product and Component portal for us?
Yes, thank you very much. It would be great to have something like Alibaba, but the space industry is very specific market, so we cannot just order the large quantities of liquid propellant engines, for example, through internet. There are certain export control regimes, but we know that certain nations are interested in engines as well, but also in some elements, some optics and so on. And even we see some interesting effect when we launched this website. And earlier I showed the link on one of the charts. When we launched it, we had several questions from the Russian industries, which were in their procurement process in Russia, and they had to look for different, entities to launch the procurement process. So we're helping in a way to the Russian industry as well with launching this process. But I'm pretty much sure that it should be of interest to our foreign potential customers, and just for people that are interested in the Russian space, because I cannot remember of any portal, of any website which could officially present the elements that are provided by the Russian space industry for export. So you can just have a look at it and browse. I think it's very easy to use. Everything is categorized. You can choose, look for the technical items, look for the capabilities of this or that product, and get in touch directly with our manager.
So, as you mentioned, that space industry is a specific market. I mean, the requirements are changing very fast, and customization is really important in our space industry, especially for if we are talking about the remote sensing satellites or the communication satellites in the GEOs and now and the LEOs. So, but Customization brings extra load, especially in the price manner and especially in the cost manner. So the more customization you have, the more costly you have the product. So that's why I believe in that. The standardization will be a good tool to beat the competition world. So maybe your portal is a good example of the standardization, and by standardization decreasing cost of the space equipment. So that's why it seems very interesting to me because of that, because we as a satellite industry members or space industry members, we have been looking a way to decrease the cost, because you also mentioned that we can do, or you had given the message that we can do anything, even we can go to moon, but we need money, we need willing. So that's why the standardization effort will be a key instrument for us to have better price values getting from the space. That's why your portal is given a good example for the standardization efforts in the space industry. So let me ask one more question, please. And we have seen that you carried the many people from different countries to the space as an astronaut. And sometimes you are working with the other the nations in order to provide some launch effort. And so it means that you are open to any cooperation with any country or nation. We can easily say that we have observed that it is written everywhere. So my question is related with that. What are the cooperation steps of the Glove Cosmos with the another nations? I mean, how the nation will apply to you, and what kind of opportunities or what kind of areas are open to other nations to get collaboration or cooperation?
Okay, thank you very much. There are all kinds of options to apply. We know that there are the basic level of talks, or probably the highest level for us, is the talk between agencies, and Roscosmos is talking directly to foreign agencies to learn if they're willing to send their astronauts into space on the flight-proven and very secure Russian launch vehicles and the spacecraft. There is another level of interaction is at the exhibitions and at some flight shows. There are certain people who are willing to go privately into space. This is another level, the private commercial space flights. It's a very interesting topic. You know that Russia, the Soviet Union, was the first in space, but it's easy to be the first probably, but it's not. It's very difficult to remain first. So we once again have to be competitive. We have to propose the shorter periods of training. So anyone who wants to go to space can either just go to our website, or to address Glove Cosmos or the Roscosmos, either be it the professional pilot or a private person, all kinds of options. And there are certain proposals that we advise to look into is 10 days of stay, like at the International Space Station, doing some experiments, you know, sending photos, using Instagram. They have internet there 24 hours a day. We're even talking about extra vehicle activities, EVA, which will cost much more, I guess, but nothing is impossible today. So, and I believe we have to send more people into space. We have to look for, we have to lower the prices of space flights. So this will just decrease, I think, the price by the end of this decade. And if we send more people, we will get more feedback from them how it is like to be in space, and this will allow us to develop new technologies. You know, to invest more into some applied things that we can use also on the Earth, getting back to Earth. And every person that went to space gets back a hero. He's now a member of the space family, and he can also capitalize on this experience, you know, in writing books or becoming a blogger while you're still there in space. So it's a quite impressive and challenging task. Very interesting.
I mean, I'm totally agree with you. Somehow we have to attract the young generation's attention to the space. I think that I believe in that. The easiest way to make this happen is to bring some people to space. So and get their information about space, such a spectacular platform. So if we can carry more people to the space, they will have story to tell the young generation, which make them curious about space, which encourage them to go to space, search for the space. So the most important message should be given to young generation is to bring them to space to see what kind of conditions it has and what kind of opportunities space will propose us. And Mr. Loskutov, the last question of mine will be related with the hot topic, LEOs. I know that your launcher is carrying many satellites at a time, and you leave three satellites to three different orbits in one launch, which is really tough thing. I know that. So, do you believe in that Leo will replace the geos or will take a place in the satellite world, or is it a dream?
It's a very one has to have a very strategic insight to answer this question. I believe that geo will stay. I believe so. The only thing I'm afraid is some sort of catastrophic event in the Leo, after which we could forget about the geo and for several decades maybe about launching things into space, and we shouldn't let that happen. And you're asking a very relevant question because it also concerns this international space law. And by the way, tomorrow there will be the space conference for the space law organized by Roscosmos, and the link should be at the Roscosmos website. And it should be a very interesting discussion between representatives from NASA, JAXA, Luxembourg, UAE on the international space law. So we all have to think about it. But once again, why we know a lot about LEO today as Glavkosmos is because we're launching Soyuz into LEO in batches. And this is a very good business for us. But apart from that launching business, the main income comes from those satellites when they're already in their orbit, delivering service to people in our nations. And you know that Russia is a very vast country, and certain regions can be hardly reached by just internet through a general satellite connection from geo. So that is why the broadband connectivity, I think, is very important for education of young generation in villages and small towns where people just watch only like 3 or 5 channels of state television and don't have access to fast internet. I believe if we are talking about younger generation, we have to also make them interconnected to learn from each other. So
Okay.
Leo, very interesting, but geo will stay there for quite a while.
Okay. Thank you very much for your comment about the Leo and the geo. So, time passes so fast. Then thank you very much. You have provided really interesting information to us, and your opinion is very interesting. The two messages given by you is two messages are very important from my side. One of them is to make private space industry, which is very much important. I'm totally agree with that. If we can make this happen, there will be many companies searching new resources in this space. This is very much important. And the second one, the more you bring people to space, it is going to be more attractive for the young generation, and it will take their attention. So which force them to eager to make some researches in the space, which will bring really huge profit to the human being. So before closing the session, would you like to wrap up and would you like to say something as a last word?
Well, I just would like to ask all of us to dream big, to dream of space, to talk to their children, talk to their kids. I myself, my favorite writer was Ray Bradbury when I was young, and I was back 25 years ago dreaming about space, not as a matter of business, but space flight. And who knows, maybe sometime we will send the Turkish astronaut to the ISS as well. So
Inshallah.
this could be, inshallah, good challenge, good experience. Thank you very much, Mr. Shen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mr.
Good luck.
Dmitry Laskutov was here, and he is the CEO of the Glav Cosmos. He has shared his ideas and he has shared his information with us. Before closing the session, I would like to thank to all technical team and the meeting team for your effort to make this great, spectacular event. And have a nice day to everybody.
Thank you.
Apollo 11 Houston, you're good in 1 minute. Apollo 11, this is Houston. You are go for TLI, over. Apollo 11, thank you.